Guys, we all have things that we've done that we regret, right?
You're
Nope,
looking at one of them right now.
We all make mistakes. But what about those times
not me.
that you know you're making a bad decision and you do it anyway?
Is that one of the alcoholic Mountain Dews?
It
John?
is. This is
no.
This is hard Mountain Dew, zero sugar.
Jesus Christ.
I was at the grocery store tonight getting some food for my kid from the Chinese restaurant inside there.
Oh, so we have a Jeff Gerstmann style drink review coming up. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly. And I looked a couple weeks ago to see what stores in my area carried hard Mountain Dew because I needed to know.
You had to have it, yeah.
It's funny that this is happening now. Like I feel like
and not when we were in our early 20s.
No. Like there's a craze 7 years ago maybe where you heard like Dad's hard root beer, hard cream soda. Like that was like
this ties in with the seltzer,
hard lemonade and that shit.
Yeah,
that's true. We are in a White Claw meta.
Yeah,
as they might
say.
11,000 White Claws.
This is original flavor. They also had watermelon and one other flavor, cherry, I think. And I thought for the first one, I need to go with the classic. That's the base, right?
Hey, only when they have a live wire version that gets me double XP and Halo
when they've
3.
got a hard Mountain Lightning, then we'll talk.
Right. So yeah, for those of you who listen to the audio version of this, I have in my hand a 24-ounce can of hard Mountain Dew. It is 5% ABV.
Chug it.
Here we go. We're going in.
I watched somebody chug clam chowder today.
Oh no. Oh God.
Okay, this tastes like Mountain Dew with a little bit of alcohol in it.
That's a dangerous thing,
shocking.
Right?
If only there was a way to get a similar experience ever.
Is it like just Mountain Dew and vodka?
Yeah, it doesn't have caffeine in it.
What?
What's the as a bonus cold open? What's the worst alcoholic beverage you've ever had? Mixed drink or single thing, whatever you want to do.
And when I was 21, I went to a bar in Alton called Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Sure, of course.
Which is Guy Fieri has been there. You get a free T-shirt if you come there on your 21st birthday. I went there twice on my 21st birthday. I got 2 free T-shirts. Anyway, the first legal drink I ever consumed was an Irish car bomb, and it was disgusting.
Ooh. That was the first thing I had on my 21st birthday too, and I didn't find it to be that terrible.
I liked it.
Was oh god, the way the Bailey's curdled with it, it wasn't great. I like Guinness and I like Bailey's separate.
I can tell that neither one of you have had Malort based off of where this is at.
I've heard Malort before. It's like a Chicago specific thing, right?
It is. And they're real proud
like a licorice kind of thing.
It is not good, my friend.
Yeah, I have not had Malort.
I had warm Malort because it was in somebody's pocket.
Oh God. I have 2 that really rank up there. Once I had a straight shot of Stoli vodka, which I thought was maybe the worst thing I've ever had.
Country Club vodka for me.
I pretty immediately threw up directly on the booth table that we were at. Because I was in the booth, like I had somebody blocking me from getting out. And so I'm like, hey guys, you need to move. You need to move. And they're like, what are you talking about? What's going on? And I was like, oh fuck, well I can't contain this anymore. That was pretty terrible. But then also on my 21st birthday, after the Irish car bomb, which again was fine. I had no problem with that. People started giving me the 3 Wiseman shots, which is what is that? It's
and Evan Williams or Jameson.
I think it's Jameson. As the third one. Yeah. And I don't think I'd ever had whiskey before.
Oh no.
And that just tasted like licking a burning tire. And it was terrible. And people got me multiple shots of that. They tried to make me do the 21 shots. I was so fucked up that when they tried to make me do the blowjob shot, that one just went all over. It was bad.
They usually do.
It was a real bad night.
I don't drink them. I think it would be bad if I did. I just don't like olives, but a martini,
they're terrible.
The olives are gross, but there is like
I love olives.
I'm not surprised.
Get outta here, Johnny.
Anytime I see a dirty
Sicko.
martini, I'm like, man, that looks good. And then I realize, oh, that's just gin and olive juice. No, thank you. So I know that
Right.
would not be great.
Half
But
of that sounds pretty great.
yeah. Speaking of half of things
Jägermeister
being
by
pretty great,
itself. Ugh.
2/3 of the show is not bad here. You found the casual hour. You found episode 298 of the casual hour.
Damn it.
Stop
Stop it.
We've
Stop
been doing
doing
this for a
that.
while. We are a podcast ostensibly about video games, but mostly about bad drinks. I'm Bobby Pease, the host of the show. Joining me is Chase Kinnicky and Johnny Emizich. How are you both doing?
Doing well, thank you.
You have
Doing
found,
alright.
yeah, you found a classic episode of the casual hour where we tell you about the games that we've been
I don't
playing.
think you can. Oh, you meant classic as in the format, not classic
Yeah.
as in this is going to be one of our good ones.
Oh well,
I don't think you can say that at this point.
it will assuredly be bad, but this is a traditional episode of the show where we are going to cover a few games tonight, what we've been playing, and then some news, a little rundown, a little preview for anybody who's just wanting to read ahead. We're going to talk about Soulstone Survivors. We're going to talk about Ghost Song, a little update on Modern Warfare 2, I think, and some hot takes on God of War Ragnarok. We've got quite a bit of news to get through. Most importantly, a recap of the Nintendo Indie Showcase. But we got some stuff on PlayStation. We've got some stuff on Overwatch. And of course, we have to talk about what's happening with Twitter. So all that being said,
Do we really?
we don't have to, but I think that there's some things that need to be said.
That's fair.
But we are here to do those things tonight. So if you are tuning in or if you're listening to the audio, hang out. It's going to be good. We're going to have a lot of fun. Chase, I know that you've been playing some things. What have you been playing?
Yeah, I mean nothing new to really talk about. Still playing some Neon White, still playing some Destiny 2 every once in a while.
Okay.
The Festival of Lost is over, but the season is only a couple weeks left, I think. So I'm trying to finish up a couple things, get a couple last crafted weapons before new content comes out. It's real quiet these days. Not a lot of people playing, not a lot of stuff going on, but that makes it easy to just kind of jump in and play some of the hits and not really feel like I need to be stuck in Destiny. I can just jump in, jump out, and have a decent time. I know I've got other stuff on my plate. We've talked about backlog stuff for the last couple weeks, I know, and I think maybe in this next week I'm going to try Shovel Knight Dig. I think that'll be one that I can get a good feel. I think it's something I can get a good feel with only a handful of sessions. I don't need to play that game for hours and hours to understand what it is. So I think I can knock that one off. And then A Little to the Left came out very recently, and then we'll talk about it later in the showcase. Came out to Switch today. So that is one I'm also looking forward to diving into and giving a shot.
Yeah, I'm not to jump ahead too much. I'm surprised because I downloaded that on Steam last night, and my wife's been really itching to play it, and she was going to play it on mobile. So I went to their website, and I was like looking around, like, is there any mention of when we can expect mobile, any other platforms? And it said Switch and mobiles will follow shortly after launch. This game launched yesterday.
They weren't kidding about the Switch one.
Yeah, it launched yesterday. So that's funny, but she's excited. She's going to download that as well and check that one out. I think she'll really enjoy it.
It was the closest time I've ever been to getting a refund on Steam. Thinking, well, do I just want to play this on Switch instead? Maybe. But I was like, fuck it. If it's fine. I'll play it here. If I don't like the way it plays, it's only $15. I'll just spend another $15 and play it on the Switch. But I'm sure it'll be fine, either on a laptop or on a Steam Deck, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it either way. So no problem there.
Nice. So Destiny 2, Neon White. You're getting ready to tackle the backlog. Sounds good, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have 2 new things to talk about. Well, I mean 3, but we're gonna let Johnny lead a lot of the other one. I started playing a game that hit Game Pass last week, this week. It's called Ghost Song.
What the hell is this?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the developer's name on it. I know it's a single developer. They've been working on this game.
I've got it. It's Old Moon.
Okay, Old Moon.
It is a humble game, published game.
Yeah, I don't know what all this is on. It's $20 on Steam. It is, I believe, on Xbox for sure because it's on Game Pass. This is a really atmospheric Metroidvania game, and it's very much more Metroid than Vania. It looks gorgeous. It's got a really neat art style, kind of hand-drawn 2D. I've seen some people comparing this. They're saying it's like a Metroidvania meets Souls-like. And I can tell you that some of the interactions I've had so far with the creatures in the game, they are a lot tougher than other Metroidvania games that I've played. So I do think that that's probably where that's coming from. But
sounds a lot like Hollow Knight when you put it like that.
I would say that that's fair. This does have, I mean, your character has the fucking blaster arm, just like Samus does, and it has an overheating mechanic to it. So the more that you shoot it, the slower it fires. The closer you are, the more damage it does. So the game pulls you into these creatures to put you in more of a harm's way. You do have a pretty robust melee attack that you can do. Traversal. I haven't played a ton of it. I probably put like an hour and a half into this. I've unlocked an air dash that feels really good. The games feel pretty tight. It's not as tight as what like Metroid Dread was. There's a little swimminess to it in comparison, but there's a ton of passion. It wears its influences very proudly on its sleeves. I love the soundtrack for it. Like atmospherically speaking, like I enjoy being in this world quite a bit. I don't know how far I'll get into it because it is like it's borderline punitive on some of the encounters I've had. I don't even want to know.
That's not typically like the Metroidvanias. Not usually your wheelhouse, right?
No, I like Metroid. This Chasen doesn't like those. I've played a few of them. It's not like I don't like blindly pick them up, but I definitely
it's not like
play them.
It's not like a survival crafting game.
No. It's not like my absolute favorite, but I when I get into the flow of them, I really get into them. But there's a barrier to entry for me with these games that it's really got to do some stuff to clip my attention early on and to get me invested on it. And this one for me has been more atmospheric than anything to keep me like, hey, I want to see where this goes, because I think these worlds are really fascinating. It's a gross world, and that's not like it's
just
not
like real life.
Yeah, it's not as gross as like a Scorn, but it's gross. There's a lot of squishiness to it.
When are we going to do that Scorn quick look?
No,
any day now, right?
Never.
Again, Game Pass, worth checking out. Seems to play really well. I did check it out on PC. Enjoyed my time with it there. I don't know how much I'll pull on it. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff coming out right now that's going to obviously take my attention away from it. This wasn't even on my radar. I thought the cover art looked cool. I think we talked about it maybe, at least in some fashion, whether it be Game Pass or we covered it. And I don't think we covered it in our actual preview, but yeah, that's Ghost Song. Old Moon. 9 years, one person making a game. So if anything, support them. That would be really cool. The other game that I was checking out is a game called Soulstone Survivors. Chase and I streamed this on Monday night for Casual Mondays, and this game is really slick. I'm having a great time with Soulstone Survivors. I've actually put a little bit more time in it. This is from Gamesmithing Limited. It is $10 on Steam. It is this is gross. It is a Vampire Survivors like. I don't know what else to call it besides that.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely one of those games.
I was looking at some screenshots for it. And...
when I told you, hey, download it.
Yes, I remember that, and I did.
The closest thing I can think of to like a genre, and I don't think this is quite right, but it's like a twin stick idle game is what I'd almost call it.
A twin stick clicker.
Yeah, but you don't really click that much.
You don't.
It's a weird one.
We had a lot of fun conversations around this topic when we streamed it, and you should go and check that out. It's on our YouTube, youtube.com/casual, or you can find a video on demand there for it. I really like this one, Johnny. It's got a cool kind of voxel isometric. Chase called it out. It feels like a Diablo on the angle that you're playing the game.
Yeah, if Vampire Survivors is to Castlevania, this game is to Diablo.
Okay. And there is a really interesting currency in the game. So soul stones, there's multiple ones. There's 5 bosses to each level. There's 5 levels so far. As you kill the boss, you get the stones. You have a very, very advanced skill tree. And as you level up each spot, you're going to get to a point where it's going to require those stones as like the final payment to level up. So I had a shit ton of the red stones because that's the first boss of the first world. And I encountered that boss a lot, cleared it out no problem. I've unlocked 3 classes so far. I have a barbarian, a pyromancer, and it's like a sword and a caster. And you're picking up elemental
spell sword.
Yeah, spell sword. Thank you, spell sword. You're picking up some really broken, just like you do in Vampire, some very broken upgrades that you can continue to go into. What I will call out here that I think is a neat mechanic: you have 6 slots to equip an active ability, but you can continue to stack passive abilities. And let's say that you get your actives loaded out, you can flip them over to a passive, or you can re-roll what your rewards are for when you pick up enough bits there. It's really good. It plays great. Works on a controller. This thing fucking screams on Steam Deck with no issue.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah,
so
it plays really good. It's full controller support. There is a prologue for it that I think you can get like up to 10 hours of gameplay in. I don't know if that carries over. It does carry over because I played the prologue and it was in the full game when I played it. So there's a prologue that's free that you can then spend the $10 to this. The other thing I will call out, they've got a game that they advertise within the game that they're working on, which is Rogue Soulstone or something to that degree, where it is more of an action RPG run-based game. And I was telling Chase, like, I wonder if they were working on that game because it comes out in 2023. And
maybe they were like,
yeah,
we need to cash in on this Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, because they have like all the same character classes and everything are going to be in that one. So this is maybe a nice way to do
this
that.
Is the ground zeros, really, of the Soulstone universe.
Yes.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no on that one. Sorry. Nobody has a bomb. Nobody has a bomb placed in their nether regions.
Well, you don't know that
in this game.
I still really struggle with Vampire Survivor. I know it's a fine game. I appreciate it. I think, and Chase was asking me because this one has a lot more of that DNA than what like a 20 Minutes Till Dawn did. If I went back to it, I probably would appreciate it more now that I've spent some time in the genre, but I just do not care for the art of Vampire Survivor. I think it's a bit muddy, and especially like if I was something to play, if I wanted to play something more pixel, I think 20 Minutes Till Dawn is far superior visually to look at, and I like that mechanic a little bit more in that one, but I really have been enjoying this one. There's a lot more to tinker with. There's a blacksmith that you can upgrade stuff. There's different levels for each character. There's some really cool RPG elements in this one that I like quite a bit, and I'm having a good time with it. So it came out on November 7th, pretty fresh for this. I think it's early access still.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely worth checking out.
Very cool. I have it downloaded. I'll probably check it out on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I think that's a great spot to play. It does really well there. Cool. So definitely worth checking out.
Do we want to do a Modern Warfare check-in before we get to the big title?
You know it.
Okay. Yeah, nothing too much to add. We did record a quick look over the weekend, and that is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thecasualhour. And I've just played so much of this game since it came out and since the last time we talked about it last week. And I'm to the point now where I've unlocked all of the marksman rifles, which included leveling up guns that aren't in that category. So now I can work on leveling all the marksman rifles to get the platinum skin.
How much time have you put into this game?
a lot. It's been a lot. It's hitting. I haven't played any Overwatch 2 since this game came out, and I was real hot on Overwatch 2.
Yeah,
we know.
First few weeks.
We know.
And I think it's better than Overwatch 2 for me anyway.
Did you finish the campaign?
No, I haven't. I need to.
You don't unlock marksman rifles by playing the campaign chase.
You don't. There are some guns that you can get through the campaign, I think, but none of the ones that I needed to work on the marksman rifle category. So,
have you played more in the third-person mosh pit?
No, but I did play a few rounds in it prior. It's not
quite your tempo.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's wild to me. I don't think I'd like it, but just the fact that it's there is.
Yeah, and there's
that hasn't been in previous games before, has it?
No,
I don't know. Because I know that like they'll add weird modes occasionally, so I can't speak definitively. But it's the first time that I can recall that it has that. And I was reading the big Warzone 2.0 blog they put out today, talking about what to expect in that, and it sounds like there's going to be a third-person modes available in Warzone, I think, as well as something called DMZ, which sounds like Escape from Tarkov Light, which might be more my speed, because I did try Tarkov and did not go well for me. So yeah, I love this game. It's the most I've loved a Call of Duty game in a very, very long time. Speaking of games that I love, 2018's God of War was a game that I loved a whole bunch and think about all the time, and I played through most of it again beginning of this year, I think. And the sequel to that game came out, God of War Ragnarok, unlocked last night at 11 p.m. I played from 11 till about 1 in the morning. I played during my break. And then I played basically as much as I could by using the big thick quotes there, as much as I could after work up until the time we recorded this podcast. So I can't tell you an exact hour count because I left my PlayStation idling a lot. But I know I'm ahead of Bobby, and
yeah, I think for the sake of this conversation, let's go ahead and just put a spoiler tag on this. Not that we're going to get anything super heavy. I'm going to do my best to avoid it, but we are going to be talking about elements of the game, characters that you haven't met yet, that you know are there. We're going to go into some detail about them. So this is your warning. Come back later on if you've played this. I'll call this out, Johnny, now that we've hit the spoiler warning out there. Why don't we not go past the first big fight that you have?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine with me. So it is more God of War 2018.
God of More.
And I mean that in the most positive way possible, at least for me. It's the same. So, you start with the Blades of Chaos rather than getting much later into the game like you did in the first one. And they incorporate using the blades in a lot of the puzzle solving. So you're switching back and forth and sometimes using like the blades to do one thing and then the axe to do another thing. And I think that the way that they utilize those tools is really smart. And I'm enjoying a lot of the puzzles that I've encountered as I'm making my way through the different levels.
They added in a mechanic with the puzzling and the blades that I don't recall being in the last one, and maybe it wasn't. It's just been too long. But you can actually use the blades as a grapple.
Yeah.
Which
that wasn't there before.
Is really fucking cool.
Any puzzles with the blades
before. And you can also use it to quickly traverse up the side of a cliff now. You literally use it as a grappling hook, and that feels really good in the game. Yeah.
So yeah, I think mechanically it feels very familiar. There are minor tweaks, and obviously they give a lore reason for this. But your skills have been for the most part reset from where you would have been at the end of the first game. So you're adding more skills to your tree as you're progressing through the level or through the story. And I'm all about it. Like it's exactly what I wanted because it is a continuation. It's like picking up not right from where you left off, but 3 years after the end of the first game. And so Atreus and Kratos are like, can we do spoilers for the end of God of War 2018? It's been
yeah,
4 years. So at the end of that game, you kill Balder, and you find out that Atreus is actually Loki, and so he is left with all of these questions about like, okay, well, this prophecy that we find on the walls when you go to the giant's mountaintop shows all of these things that Loki's supposed to be doing, and Kratos is trying everything in his power to prevent those things from happening. And so they've basically been in hiding for the last 3 years. And it starts with Freya coming after you because Balder is Freya's son, and even though she had helped you and was like became your friend, and saved Atreus's life, or at least helped save his life, like she swore vengeance against you, and so it opens with a fight with Freya as you're racing these snow dogs through the forest, and it's a really bombastic moment. And it's I don't know, like it's the characters, the writing, everything I feel is just as strong as it was in that first game.
I'll
So
add some
Bobby,
weight to that.
you chime in here because I've just been rambling for the last several minutes.
One of the cool things about approaching the sequel for me has been I know what the stakes are. That's what I love about sequels to begin with. Like you've already got established. Like I know who Kratos is today. I know who his son is now. I want to know what they're going to do with it. But playing this game, since I've known and like I understand like mechanically what it's asking me to do, like it's very much mechanically as you called out that the first. So I'm very similar in my hour count. I probably put an hour in today, and I played till about 1:30 after it unlocked at 11 last night. So some of that time was idle, just going through menus and kind of exploring. But I have been absolutely just so like enamored with the performances of this game. And that's what I've been finding myself gravitating towards. Like specifically, I think that Richard Schiff and Ryan Hurst are chewing every ounce of scenery that they're given in this.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
At this point in time, in a post MCU universe, we've got a very understanding. Like I mean, Thor's changed quite a bit. Even in that world, he's changed quite a bit on how he's been written and how people are know who he is. There's been multiple games that dip their toe into Norse mythology. There's been multiple Viking TV shows. This might be, and this is an early hot take, but this might be my favorite. It's certainly the most interesting portrayal I've seen of Odin and Thor.
Yeah,
but it might be my favorite.
So Odin is in it relatively briefly, but the energy that he conveys is I don't think either of you will. I don't know if either have you guys watched the show American Gods or read the book American Gods?
No.
Nope.
Okay. There's a character named Wednesday who is Odin, and it's him, and it made me so happy because he's this slick, smooth-talking shyster guy, and that's the same kind of energy that I was getting from Odin when he shows up.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
and he's just it's so good.
Odin is like this. He's the All-Father, and so you think of him as being somebody that takes what he wants. He is very powerful. He has Thor, of course. He has Asgard. He has all these beautiful things that go with it. So when you see somebody knock on a door and the silhouette is a very frail and thin and kind of worn down man that then just like welcomes himself into the house, pulls up a chair that wasn't even like gifted to them, and starts off by saying, we can make a deal. Are you going to be calm? And this whole discussion around how you would, it's very much like what I would expect kind of a mafia family to be like,
Yeah,
based off of what I've seen and read. Like it feels
Yeah.
very much like they're treating it like a mafia.
Yeah, and the reason this confrontation is happening is because in the 2018 game, you kill two of Thor's sons. And the post-credit scene of that is Kratos flinging the door open because there's lightning happening outside, and you see this silhouette of a hammer, and you go, "Who are you?" And you get to see that transpire in the opening hours of Ragnarok.
And there's something very interesting too about watching these gods talk to each other. Like it feels interesting to see that, but I also appreciate Jesus Christ, Mimir having that history with Odin, and then his head being there, and just like the conversation with them. Like that whole thing has just been absolutely incredible. So like all that to be said, it's got its hooks in me when it comes to a story and like these characters. Like I want to know more about how is like, because there's very clear curiosity happening. I'm also curious for you, Johnny, as a father, 4 years later, some of the things that you're having to navigate with just a growing boy and curiosity and just independence. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that there's probably some very interesting parallels for you on this one.
That, not that I am a emotionally distant father by by any stretch of the imagination, but all of the themes of fatherhood and everything that happens between Kratos and Atreus was so impactful to me whenever I first played that, and I can see the same thing happening to me because Atreus is so eager to prove himself and figure out like who the hell am I? Like I know I'm a god. I know that I saw all these things that are supposed to happen. Why are we hiding? Like, let's take the fight to them. And Kratos has lived the life that he's lived and has like his own very different perspective. Like, you don't want this. Like, this is not going to turn out the way that you think it will.
I'll chime in here for you on the, if you have played 2018s and you just didn't really like it, you're not going to like this one. That's fair. It's mechanically the same thing.
It's very, very similar. Yeah.
Very similar. There is some really cool RPG elements. I think a little bit more robust when it comes to skills and swapping out equipment and gear. I think that's really done well. The other thing I want to call out is mechanically, the way that this game feels with the controller from a DualSense perspective. They've done some really great things on just how that axe feels using the adaptive triggers. The PlayStation 5 has this thing. It's probably the best console video game I've seen when it comes to just visuals. They've got a lot of modes that you can play. If you have one of those fancy TVs that can support HDMI 2.1 and 120 hertz, you can actually play this game at 120 frames a second. Otherwise, they've got a really good balanced version of resolution with performance where you can get close to 4K with a locked-in 60, and that feels about right for this game. It loads incredibly fast. You can hop in and out of this game with no issue. Like, you can tell that this thing was fine-tuned for the hardware it's on, and I am very curious to see. What's that?
You're playing this on a PS5, though.
I am playing this on PS5. I am very curious.
It is available for PS4. We've talked about it before. So
yes,
apparently it makes that thing run like a fucking jet engine.
I mean, 2018 did too.
Yeah, 2018 absolutely did.
It's literally no different from 2018's because that was the game that made my PS4 cry like nobody's business. And I had a launch PS4, so I'm sure people with PS4 Pros were having a better time with that, but that is still the weird thing to me. Like I guess it's nice that it's still impressive on a PS5 that they're able to get more out of it. And I think it's cool that you can get up to 120 frames per second if you jump through a couple hoops. But it does make me think, well, if this was a PS5 exclusive, how much more could you have gotten out of it instead of hamstringing yourself by also making sure that it runs on a PS4?
I think that I've read a few things today around the development of the game and just like this thing got down to the wire on hitting a release date, it sounds like, with just a satisfaction of where it was at. I do feel there's been a ton of mocap and just focus on story. I think that they get like, hey, if we can get this thing to do this over here, we'll build on a few things. There is a character I know that is in the game. I don't know much about it, but I do know who's voicing them, and I can't wait to encounter that character. I think that's going to be really cool. I'm in.
Somebody you'll go nuts for?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. But I'm really enjoying my time with it so far.
Yeah,
I've been dying to play more of it today. I've read varying degrees of completion times for this. I've heard around 30 all the way up to 60 hours, depending on how you play it.
It depends on like side questing and things like that.
Apparently, the
So,
side quests are very good in this.
yes. So I've been doing everything I can
Yeah.
before I move on to the next area.
Same.
So,
yeah. And I'm sure that you will continue to hear more about God of War Ragnarok from us here at the Casual Hour. Chase, I don't believe you are going to be picking this one up, correct?
I don't think so. I mean, 2018 was fine. I thought it was okay. I guess I just don't see the reason for me, or what's compelling to me, especially when you say, hey, if you felt one way about 2018, you're not really going to feel all that different about this one. And that's kind of good enough for me to go, hey, I've got enough other stuff on the backlog. It does feel weird. I have one of these PS5s. I feel like I should be getting the big console exclusive games that are coming for it. Your Gran Turismos, your God of Wars, and those games just are not appealing to me.
Let's go further.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I think, Chase, hearing you talk, I mean, you've got your TV podcast with pilots and just your appreciation for TV, media, all that. And even like, I know we've talked about West Wing stuff. I would love to see what your thoughts are in just some of these performances that you're getting from these characters, especially knowing I'm sure that it's good. Like Odin and shit. Like, I think you would absolutely love. And you can watch those.
I know I've mentioned it I think I mentioned it on our preview. I know I mentioned it to Johnny off the podcast, but the idea of Richard Schiff being Odin is weird to me, because I feel like he has such a distinctive voice, and I don't mean to pigeonhole him, but I've seen him in a couple of specific roles that I cannot divorce him from. So to hear him as Odin, I just feel like I'm hearing Toby from the West Wing talk, and Toby from the West Wing ain't Odin, I'll tell you that. So some of that stuff feels a little weird. It's similar to how I feel with somebody like Troy Baker these days, where it's like Troy Baker is, I know he is a professional voice actor, but he's too much himself these days. So when you hear his voice, you go, oh, that's Troy Baker, instead of, oh, that's Ocelot or you know, all the other voices that he's done. It's tough. I don't know. I'm sure the performances are great. The performances I've heard in terms of voice acting from the trailers seem great. I'm not opposed to watching some of this game. I just don't think playing it is in my future.
Absolutely. Well, maybe this weekend we'll record a quick look for it and show off a little bit of that. Try and keep it as spoiler light as possible. I don't think there's a way to go back and like have saves that you can load in, but I might be wrong.
Sure.
Cool. Just to recap really quick, Chase had some updates that he's been checking out with the Destiny 2 and Neon White and his backlog. I played Ghost Song and Soulstone Survivors along with a little bit of God of War Ragnarok. Johnny has continued to sweat with Modern Warfare 2, and he is way in on God of War Ragnarok, and that is going to round out our games. We've got a lot of news to get through. Some of these will be pretty quick. We'll probably spend the most time talking through the Nintendo Indie Showcase today. Johnny, why don't you kick us off with a little news update here? What's going on? All good things, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So professional asshole Elon Musk owns Twitter now.
Parody. That's a parody.
Parody. Sorry.
Parody should say that.
And so Yeah, any online person knows this story and has probably been on Twitter themselves, seeing it happen in real time. But he made a big point of saying comedy is now legal on Twitter, and then when people started making fun of him, like your Kathy Griffin, Ethan from H3H3, just to name a couple. I know there's been more.
There's been multiple accounts,
Got
multiple
permanently suspended, and even after Elon came out and said any account that is not labeled explicitly as parody will be subject to being banned. And in H3H3, they said it like in their banner on their profile, it said parody, and he still got kicked off the platform. And also today, there's been so they started letting anyone who pays $8 a month get a blue check mark. And the whole reason behind the blue check mark to begin with was to verify like if you are a public or otherwise notable figure, yeah, institution, what have you, like this is the official person, right?
Well, yeah, I mean it adds some legitimacy, I guess, to you.
Well, because you could have someone saying, I'm Stephen King. Send me $50 and I will do this for you. It'd be very easy to spoof, other people.
Nobody would do that.
That's been happening a lot today. And so today they also put out a little gray official badge.
Oh, it's gone.
That they did, yeah, then they got rid of a few hours later. And it's almost like this guy's not as good at business as the world and his idiotic worshippers seem to think that he is.
You see the check mark, you tap on the profile picture now, you go into their profile, you tap specifically on the check mark by their name, a pop-up opens up and lets you know if that was a Twitter Blue or an authentic.
Yeah.
And for 2 hours today, for 2 whole hours, there was a mimicked account for Nintendo of America that was just Mario giving the bird.
Yep.
And Valve they've now since taken it down. And your friend and mine, Rudy Giuliani, of course, poor Rudy, had a lot of fun getting made fun of on there as well.
Yeah, it's just it's a mess. And it's part of me, like, Twitter's become the social site that I use the most because I was able to curate it. I stayed far away from like trending, and I don't really read like replies and shit. I just follow the people who I like.
Yep.
The topics that I like.
If you don't use Twitter proper, if you use, I use TweetDeck's been out there before. If you use something else, you are able to get just your list of these are the people I follow and just get that feed. Using Twitter by itself these days, or even before Musk took over, is just a lot of ad posts and sponsored posts and things like that sucks. But
yeah.
It's also my most used social media site at this point too. I feel like it's the way I want to consume content with very quick bite-sized stuff.
There's lots of journalists I follow, like historians. Like there's all these interesting people whose perspectives I'm able to get, and it feels like this thing is just a sinking fucking ship. Like it's crashing and burning. And I don't know how much longer it's going to be around. And I feel like saying that sounds hyperbolic, but I don't know if it actually is. We'll see.
I don't know. I think the way I would probably word it would be, I don't know how much longer I'll be around for it.
Sure. That's also fair.
And that's the real problem for me is, I mean, if I had a different choice, I'd
Mastodon.
No way, dude.
Just stop it.
I tried signing up for that, and it was like, okay, now pick your server. I was like, oh no, all right, uninstall.
I remember somebody tried to get me into Mastodon when I was in college, and I went, "This is."
It's been around
stupid.
That long?
I'm not doing it.
Oh yeah, it's been around for a long time.
It kills.
There just isn't really another good option. Nope. And I think it's something that we'll continue to find. People are going to come up with new things. People are going to try to make more out of other spaces. And for me, and I assume for a lot of other people, it's going to be choosing who you want to follow. That you're going to have certain accounts and certain people that you want to keep in touch with or want to keep tabs on, and where the majority of those go is where you're probably going to end up as well. So
yeah, we'll see what happens.
I mean, it'd be somebody said it'd be hilarious if Musk had to sell Twitter for pennies on the dollar, like like other network. Tumblr was like that, right? Like was it Yahoo that bought Tumblr for a ton of money and then had to sell it for basically nothing.
Yeah,
because it was just so unprofitable for them.
They're letting nudity back on Tumblr, so maybe
they're not. They're not. No, that's not true. They're adding a not safe for work tab. That is not nudity. They're not bringing porn back to Tumblr. Well, it's where you can go watch. It's where you can watch adult men in diapers. That's what you can do with the not safe for work tab these days.
Specifically, what it's for is for adult men in diapers.
I mean, not specifically, but that is it is used for.
Not for me, but for a friend.
No, of course not.
What's the URL for that?
It's Tumblr.com.
No. The you said something about diapers.
Yeah. Tumblr.com. You'll find it.
Just go to Tumblr.com.
Well, the funny thing, and I think the reason they had to make the not safe for work tab is that Tumblr's actually done something really cool recently, where they've added this feature called Tumblr Blaze, which is, hey, we'll let you just buy ads, or we'll let you purchase some Tumblr Blaze and you say, I would like to put this Tumblr post. I just want to put it in some people's feeds. And they go, okay. And you go, well, can I target that to like hit to the right people that I want? I'm a marketer. I want to make sure it gets seen by the right people. And Tumblr says, fuck no, we're going to shotgun it to just some random fucking users. And it's fantastic. You just get the most random, weird shit on Tumblr these days. It's beautiful. The problem is you have some of the adult diaper wearing people who are also, for shits and giggles or exhibitionist reasons, saying, well, I want to get on that Tumblr Blaze stuff with these hot photos. And Tumblr's like, okay, there's a not safe for work tab. If you have your not safe for work stuff, you won't see any of that shit, even with the Tumblr Blaze stuff. We'll make sure that only the right people are seeing that stuff, but they're still not targeting people, which I think is fascinating. That is really cool. It is so anti-corporate. Tumblr's a really interesting place. Honestly, that's the one social network I could see going to. It has all the same kinds of features that I want out of Twitter, in terms of audio files that you can upload, video stuff, just text posts.
I used to be on there all the time, man. I'm
still on it sometimes. It's fun to look through. It's a great place to follow artists and just see weird art and things like that. The problem is just not a ton of people are on there. So if people start migrating to Tumblr, hell yeah, baby, let's get back to dropping the E's and fuck vowels. Let's go back to Web 2.0.
I had a Tumblr. I actually ran a review site on Tumblr back in the early 2010s, and I went back in. It's funny. It's just so funny we're talking about this. I went back in, opened it up, and it was really just like a place. My main blog was like at the time connected to my Instagram, it seemed, and so I was putting a lot of shit on there. But I like backed up all the stuff that I had, kind of nuked it, got it started over. I moved the casual hour over there as well, so we are officially on Tumblr.
Nice.
I don't know. Maybe we'll use that for some writing. Maybe we'll use that as a place to put stuff. It seems like I don't really appreciate what's going on Instagram. I haven't for a while. I don't see anything relevant to what I care about. And even for us, as we try to put our stuff on there, like it's very apparent to me that unless we start making reels, they're not going to look at what we're doing on there. And that's fine. I mean, again, we're not here to like.
And Facebook/Meta is just so trend focused, it seems. They're always just going after the newest thing. And the problem is, it's fine to have your random new shit in there, but they are algorithmically throwing things at the top and forcing you to use their new features if you want to stay in the ecosystem. And that sucks. Plus, Mark Zuckerberg runs it, and you don't want that. So,
and there's 11,000 less people working there now.
It's very, very true.
Anyway, social media sucks.
It's great.
Johnny, why don't we skip a few of these news stories?
Okay.
I don't think we need to go over all of these. We can definitely skip the Overwatch.
We
can skip Final Fantasy.
Okay. The PSVR 2 will cost as much as or more than a PlayStation 5.
It costs more.
But is it $599?
It's $550.
$550. No, the PS5 disc model is $550. They bumped those prices up.
But
so
it's more
about discs.
It's more than the digital
media,
one.
baby. Fuck physical media.
Right, exactly. That's very funny to me. I don't know.
It gets funnier, Johnny.
So curious to see how this sells.
Here's how
this is funnier. I mean, this is how VR has worked in the past, though, right? Like these headsets have always been ridiculously expensive. I guess PSVR 1 was quote unquote cheap compared to the other ones.
Yeah, but also like the Meta Quest like doesn't require to be connected to anything. You just use it by itself.
That's the thing. That went up in cost as well, but when I got mine at launch, it was like $350 for the model I got. I'll also call out a few things here that are of note. The launch library for this thing outside of Horizon is literally just ports from Meta or from Steam over to this. So there's really not anything here for it. There's nothing packed in when it comes to a game for this device. If you want,
that's crazy.
Horizon $50 for this thing. So if you want that bundle, which they're selling, it's $600, and that's the only way that you get a game with that. Even the PlayStation comes with Astrobot, so you don't even get that with this. The other piece I'll call out, they're also selling a $50 charging stand for the controllers that you can use. So $650 if you want to get the only game that's exclusive to this device and the charging stand for it. And to your point, this is limited only to PlayStation apps, which again, it's the PlayStation headset. That makes sense. Yeah. There's a lot of great tech with it.
There were ways to get the PSVR 1 to work on PC, but it wasn't,
I think, a different thing for sure. The other thing I'll just call out, like I barely use my Meta Quest. I have one of those, but from a entertainment standpoint, there's a lot of other things you can do with this, from workspace to like walking tours and shit like that for stuff that you might not be able to do on the.
Hey, legs are coming soon.
Yes.
People still seem to be pushing VR, and it's weird to me.
Audience, right?
It does, but it's so much of VR these days, especially, seems to be about the hardware. And to Bobby's point, there is one new game. I forget exclusive games. There's one new game for this thing, and the rest of it is ports of other stuff.
Dude, you can't even play PSVR 1
little
games.
software.
Yeah,
it's not back compatible.
Stupid. Yeah, there's just so little software for these things. It's really hard for anyone to take a leap of faith to jump into one of these very expensive models, and then to just sit there and play the 2 or 3 games that are there, or to find the free stuff, which is also not very many, but you want to find the free stuff because you paid so much for the thing, and then you get people doing the, like the VR chat stuff. A lot of that stuff you find is free. It's tough.
You're not going to convince me that there's anything in VR that's worth $1,000 right now.
Yeah, it's a bad sales pitch, and I know I've never been a fan of VR. I just don't think it's a very good way to play video games in a normal everyday sense.
Yeah,
it's a fun thing to do a couple times. It's a fun thing to go to like a Dave and Buster's or some kind of arcade thing, and to go, oh, this is a neat thing. This is a treat, a little thing that I'm trying. But when it comes to how am I going to play video games on a daily basis, I want a controller in my hands. I want to look at a TV. I want to be laying on a couch. I don't want to be standing. I don't want to be flailing my arms around. I don't want to obscure my vision from the rest of the world. I don't want to keep myself away from being able to check a phone or to answer a phone or to answer the door or to get the food that's coming out of the microwave or talk to my wife or whatever. Like it's not a practical way to play games in a normal sense. And for them to also want so much money out of you while providing an experience that is cool but not practical is just such a hard sell. And I don't know why companies seem to think this is the future that we have to push, because I don't think people are catching on to it.
If the PSVR 1 hadn't done as well as it did, then they would have never made another one. So
I'm just going to drop this little nugget for y'all. In a year where we've seen the Switch continue to soar, Valve put out a handheld, it just seems like they could have done more to leverage their remote play capabilities and expand their library and bring out the Vita again or something like it. That seems to me like a much more thoughtful and tactful way to go about bringing, if they're so concerned about their library of games, which they should be proud of. There's really good ones. We talked a lot about God of War tonight. Let me play that shit on the go. Like you can make a handheld device that can clearly play some of your PS4 and PS5 games. Let me take that shit with me and have cloud saves. Like that would be huge for a lot of people.
Well, to be fair, Bobby, Sony is making all sorts of stupid decisions these days. So
no.
I know. Have you heard of a little thing called PlayStation Plus?
Yeah.
That really cool service back in the day that you got some free games for. It allowed you to play online.
Yeah. And then they
cheaper than Xbox Live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now,
those tiers, man.
Guess what?
I have tears.
Oh, those
because
fucking
of this.
tears. Yeah.
They have lost 2 million subscribers. Which
it's too complicated. I know it's only three tiers. Well, technically it's 4 if you're in a different country and can't have one of the tiers. I don't know. But for us, it's 3 tiers, and that stuff on its face makes sense. Here's your normal PlayStation Plus subscription. That's your essential. Here's extra. It gets you some extra games each month. I actually think this month's games are supposed to be pretty decent for it. I can't remember what they are. I think one of them Skyrim maybe. But like they're it's Kingdom Hearts and Skyrim. Okay, decent maybe is the wrong word, but they're at least bigger games. And so that's extra. And then what does the super one get you? It's like all the
PS1 and PS2 streaming.
Yeah. Okay. It's just I don't know.
I'm
I
telling you both right now.
People want
it's very confusing because I paid for an upgrade to the middle tier to get Stray.
It was cheaper to get that than it was to buy Stray.
Yeah. And a lot of times I'll look at a game and it'll have 2 buttons. It'll have an upgrade button or an add to library button. And I'm like, what? Why is this other button? What does the upgrade get me that just adding this to my library doesn't? Is it letting me stream it? Is that the difference?
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm leaving it open until the end of the year because I think Stray is fantastic, and I probably want to dip my toe in that again before we talk about our favorite games this year. But after that, I'm going to let my subscription lapse. And if there's a game that came out like a Wreckfest that we were like, Bobby, we should check this out, I would probably just be like, all right, here's $10 this month or whatever it is, and I would play that with you all there.
I play, like, that's where I'm playing Call of Duty and stuff, but I'm gonna go back to the basic package or whatever. So that's real dumb.
Agreed.
Should we talk about some indies?
Let's talk about some indies. I figured that we can get through this pretty quick, or just highlight. Like, I don't know how you want to go about it, Chase. I'm fine either way. If you want to talk more, show trailers, anything like that, let me know.
Yeah, we can talk through some stuff. I know Johnny linked to this IGN article, which I don't love because it doesn't put it. I want the thing that puts it in order.
I know.
It's
I
fine.
tried. I looked at like 3 different lists, and
Oh,
none
yeah.
of them were great.
That's why we need the real journalists. That's why Twitter needs to come back, so we can actually get some fucking live tweets in here, and people can put things in the right fucking order.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, we can run down some of the things. The biggest thing was the thing they showed at the end. I think which is Sports Story. It's a game we've been waiting for a long time. Bobby and I are huge fans of Golf Story. That was a Switch exclusive. Still a Switch. I'm sorry. Johnny likes it too. I know that Bobby and I have talked about it many times, both on and off the podcast.
Yes.
So that game is still a Switch exclusive, which I find wild that game never came
still
to
there.
PC. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But Sports Story, it's a small Australian developer. They've been working on it for a long time. Years at this point that we've been waiting for it, and now we got a new trailer for it, and it's coming this December, also to Nintendo Switch. Pretty exciting. Golf Story came out in 2017, so it's been a while, and this game looks content rich.
It looks dense, doesn't it?
There's like a dungeon crawling aspect to it. There's fishing. There's you still have your golf and frisbee golf. It looks like they're throwing so much stuff at it, and part of me is a little scared that some of this stuff isn't going to come together and work well. But the other part of me just goes, I just want to see what the fuck this is. This seems so fucking cool.
I know. It looks really, really slick. They didn't say what day in December, did they? They just said December?
They did not. Just December.
Okay.
Yep. The wacky trailer showed off golf, tennis, soccer, BMX, volleyball, and cricket. But when you're not competing, you'll be exploring dungeons, hanging out at the mall, or solving mysteries. It sounds like a lot, and it seems rad.
Yeah.
One of the other big things we saw at the indie showcase was ports. It's the Nintendo Switch. You're going to see a lot of ports. Rogue Legacy 2 came out today for Nintendo Switch. One of you guys played Rogue Legacy 2, right? Did. And you were kind of down on it.
It's hard.
It's It's a perfectly cromulent game.
Yeah. What else is getting ports? Have a Nice Death. That's the roguelike that Bobby played. That's kind of also like Hollow Knight, but as a roguelike.
I didn't realize that game was out, and I guess it came out. I guess it came out early access 6 months ago. I read this. It could be wrong, but they were like, "Yeah, that game's been out for 6 months. It comes out in 2023 for the Switch." I don't think I knew that was out. I'm gonna look that up while you are doing that.
Sure. I'll get to some of the other ports as well. I get it's technically a port. We mentioned a little to the left, came out yesterday for PC and came out today on Nintendo Switch. So they said it was coming out soon after, and they weren't kidding. Let's see. In that sizzle reel, Inscription is coming to Nintendo Switch December 1st. I'm interested to see how that works, considering that game gets into some computer file stuff. I don't want to spoil anything. Also, I don't know. I never got that far. But I know it has some like computery things that you're supposed to do, like some file management stuff. And I wonder how that works when you're playing it on a Nintendo Switch. Similar to the way of Doki Doki Literature Club that also does some of that. And that game has been ported to consoles, so I know there's a way to do it. It just seems a little weird. WrestleQuest, which is a game. I think that's still in. Is that still in early access, or is it not even in early access?
No, it's not in early access yet.
Okay. But we know that's coming out to PC, but Nintendo Switch is also getting a version of WrestleQuest coming out in May of next year.
They did. Can we go back to really quick to Have a Nice Death? So they got a big they got a statement up on Steam today. It is launching out of early access day and date when it hits the Switch. So March 22nd, it comes out of early access on Steam, and they say here that it will also be fully supported by on the Steam Deck as well. So cool shit there, and that will be a really good game for the Switch. Really good. I mean, it plays really well. It seems like a good home for it if you don't have a means to play it otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked nice. It played smooth. It seems like a neat thing. The kind of like tactical dodgeball game. What is that called? It's made by the Monument Valley people. Us too.
Oh yeah,
Where'd it go?
is it
Desta,
Desta?
the memories between. Yeah. That game seems interesting. We've seen that before. Was that maybe in the Wholesome Direct or something where they showed off that
I
for the
think
first
it was.
time?
It's got a good style to it.
But mm-hmm. Uh, the Space for the Unbound is something I thought was really cool. It is set in Indonesia, I believe. Yeah, rural Indonesia. It seems kind of like a slice of life. It's almost like they took a slice of life anime and put it into a video game. It's got some really nice pixel art to it. It's a different style of pixel art than I see. It reminds me a little bit of Eastward, except the proportions are a little bit more realistic as people are taller. It's also side scrolling instead of top down like Eastward is, but it has that like really lovingly crafted pixel art stuff. I think that one seems pretty cool. That's coming out in January of next year. Once Upon a Jester, it sounded weird to me in a way that might be cool. It's they're calling it an improv game where you are. It's got some kind of quick time event stuff, but it seems like if you purposefully don't do the quick time correctly, it leads to different ways of putting on these shows. These kind of not exactly puppet shows, but they did some puppet show stuff in the like the real life trailer with the developers. But it looks like you play as a jester. You have a kind of sock puppet looking friend, and you are putting on these traveling jester shows, and you can affect the outcomes as you play by doing the quick time events correctly or incorrectly. Seemed kind of interesting. What are some other ones here that looked pretty good?
Did you talk about? Okay, yeah.
Aka seems like something for if you like those games with the foxes in them, then maybe you like this one. It also has a fox. This has it's like a retired warrior who is just trying to kind of find some peace and relax a little bit, and there's an island that you explore, and you can kind of get back into some adventuring, or you can just farm. It seems like something Bobby might be into.
Yeah.
Something Bobby's wife might be into is Botany Manor. Is that what that's called?
Yes.
Yeah, Botany Manor, which seems like a puzzle-ish adventure game about plants specifically. Your wife and me as well are big plant fans, and one of the cool things seems to be about trying to find the right conditions for a plant to bloom correctly, or to have the best environment for it to grow. And so you are finding seeds, you're planting them in pots, you're putting them in the right places in this open
Reminds
world,
me a little bit
of
strange horticulture, a little bit.
Sure, I could see that. Maybe
did you
also
mention,
like a touch of mist in there.
Yeah. Did you mention Blanc yet?
I haven't mentioned Blanc. That one, that seems like something we should try on like a casual Monday sometime.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You play as, it's a co-op game. It's if you played something like Brothers, then this is going to be similar. One person plays as a little wolf, and another one plays as a fawn, and you have to solve puzzles together. Or one person takes the one path they can do, and then they open up the path for the other character. But it's got a really striking art style.
Yeah, it does.
All black and white. It's a wordless game, wordless textless game, which I think is pretty cool. It's got some real style to it.
It looks really cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Another game that I thought looked really good, that looks even more like Eastward, is Goodbye World. which is a video game about people who are making video games. And this is also kind of a slice of life anime in that you play as two characters who are working on video games as indie developers, and their games aren't the biggest sellers, so they also have to take on odd jobs that one person's a waitress at a restaurant, so they're taking orders. You talk to some people, you work on the game, and in fact you do play their little side scrolling action puzzle game as they continue builds of it. I think that could be really interesting to see how a game evolves within its own video game. That one sounds nice, and it really looks like Eastward in that it even has like the filters that go over the really nice pixel art. It's a looker.
It looks
it's
awesome.
A looker for sure. I mean, there's some other games here. We don't need to talk about every single one of them. Coffee Talk 2 got announced. That's coming spring next year. I downloaded the original Coffee Talk and never played it. I people were kind of down on it at one point. Maybe the other biggest thing that we should definitely mention is Pepper Grinder. That's probably the thing that is going to appeal to the casual hour the most. It's a new game from Devolver. I mean, published by Devolver, and it looks like fucking rad. It's like Dig Dug meets Ori and the Drill Dozer meets Ori and the Blind Forest. In that it's a 2D side-scrolling platformer, but your character has this drill that she can use to navigate the environment and drill under things and drill around and pop back into different things and platform. It looks like it's got some cool combat stuff that your drill can get upgrades or like temporary upgrades. Like there was a part of the trailer where you can like put your drill into a chain gun and then you spin the chain gun around to shoot bullets.
Now we're talking.
It looks like it's got the nice crunchy screen shake stuff that you want out of a game like this. It looks like it controls super smoothly, and having the Devolver name on it. I know the Devolver name doesn't carry the same weight it did, only a couple of years ago, but it still seems like the right publisher to put with a game like this to get the most out of it. So pretty excited about that one. There were some other things too. We don't need to get through all of it. One of the other last ones I do want to mention is Dordogne, which is a French video game. I definitely remember seeing this one before. This might have also been at the Wholesome Direct.
Sure.
But this is what was the game? I think it came out last month, Bobby. It's the one where you play as the person who's like going to these different places and recording things. Like you're keeping a journal of
Seasons.
We
played a demo for Seasons.
Yeah. This seems very similar in a way because you play as this little girl who is capturing these memories and making a journal. She's recording sound. She's taking photos. She's putting stickers into this book. The difference, though, is that you're actually playing as the little girl grown up. And I think her grandmother died at one point, and that's why she's coming back to this French-looking village. And she's remembering her time as a kid being with her grandmother in this place. And what they say is that there's like she left herself this mystery, this breadcrumb trail to follow. So when she comes back and she discovers, oh wait, this is the stuff that younger me made, you're kind of backtracking through those things. The coolest part of it is the art style. You look at this thing and it is super impressionist painting. The way the environment moves a little bit, so you can tell, oh, this is 3D, but the painterly style over it makes it look like you are walking through like a Monet painting, and that stuff
Awesome.
I think is really, really cool. That's definitely one I want to check out when it comes out, and it comes out in spring of 2023. I think it was a good show overall. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of crowd pleasers, a lot of nice ports. Sports Story is still maybe the biggest thing to me. That is, I've been waiting for that game for a long time, so it's nice to see. But yeah, there's a lot of nice stuff.
Probably
Switch
the
is not
last we'll
dead.
hear from them, right? This year.
Nintendo, yeah, I could see that. I mean, once Pokemon comes out, I'm sure there'll be some stuff to talk about. Actually, with Fire Emblem Engage coming out so early, yeah, it's coming in January. I could totally see them doing something in December of let's get a direct, let's Fire Emblem focused, but we'll also talk about some other things. Maybe we'll hear more about something like Front Mission. Maybe we'll hear more about something like Advance Wars. We're still waiting on some knowledge of that. There could still be some GoldenEye stuff. I know that we're getting GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64 Switch Online stuff, but there's still apparently talk about a GoldenEye remake that would come onto Xbox and Switch, with the relationship that Rare has to both companies at this point.
Sure.
I could see more showing up in December, but indie wise, definitely this is probably all that we're going to see, especially because so many of these indie games are slated for next year already. So
nice.
But good show. Switch is not dead.
Nice.
People should like the Switch. People who don't like the Switch might be wrong.
Hey, we've had a lot of fun tonight. We've talked about quite a bit of things. Let's round out the week here, if we can. I'm going to let Chase go first here on what he's been up to and what you can follow with him, and then I'll wrap up things for us.
Okay. One, not to put you on blast, Bobby, but it looks like this schedule's a little out of date.
That's why I'm having you go first, Chase. Why didn't you just take the fucking bait? God damn it, Chase.
Sorry, buddy. I see it now. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot new with me. It's going to be pretty short on what I can report. I will be recording a new episode of my new podcast called Pilot Program with good friend of the show, Pierce Corshane. We are watching The Boys, which, I have now seen the first episode of The Boys. Pierce may have seen the first episode of The Boys at this point, and we will be talking about it sometime next week, and then that episode should go up sometime, I don't know, hopefully before Thanksgiving. I think that's possible. That show's been a lot of fun to do. It's kind of ruined me a little bit in that there's a lot of TV I'd like to watch or like to start or like to go back to, and my brain says, well, you can't yet. You need to wait until you can make that into content. So don't watch this new show. Stop it. Which is it's a bad way to be. You should just don't be like me, folks. Do the things you want to do when you want to do them.
For sure. Absolutely.
That's my advice to everybody. Be like Kirby.
Be like Kirby.
For some reason, it's something I always remember is Kirby eats when he gets hungry and he goes to sleep when he's tired. And I'm like, damn, Kirby's living. Kirby knows how to fucking live. I wish I could do that.
Well, Chase, I'm excited to hear more from Pilot Program. Thanks for updating us there on what's going on. There's some links in chat here for what we do outside of streaming, but this week has been updated correctly, and we've had some fun stuff. Monday night, Soulstone Survivors. We talked about that tonight. You can go back and check out that stream. We'll probably do a quick look for that sometime soon. We also have a quick look up for Call of Duty, a game that Johnny's obsessed with. You can check that out at youtube.com/casual hour. Tonight was episode 298 of the Casual Hour. We talked all about the games that we've been playing. Tomorrow on Thursday, we have a quick look for Marvel Snap, a very addictive and very fun card game that has surprised the hell out of me. And Friday night, Johnny and I are going to hang out and play Shatterline. It will be a lot of fun. Might just be me. It might be me and Johnny. Who knows? It's a wild and crazy time around here. But we will, one of us or both of us will be playing Shatterline on Friday. Johnny, anything that you want to
update? You should play God of War.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We will chat with you all soon.